Hi and welcome back to my channel Modern Modis. Today we're going to be doing a thrift flip. I found this very frumpy and very unflattering suit set at the thrift store and I decided to get it because it was only $4 and I love the color. Today I'm going to show you how I took this outdated, unflattering suit here and transformed it into this. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up and to comment under this video what you think of this transformation, if you like it, if you hate it. But yeah, let's get on to how I transformed this suit. The first thing that needs to go is this collar. I do not like it, so let's go do that. Or rather, let's go undo that. I just used my seam ripper to rip the stitches so I could remove the collar from the jacket. Then I went and cropped my jacket to a length I liked and removed the shoulder pads, which I think is 90% the cause of why this jacket was so unflattering. It's looking 10 times better to me already. I want to take it in a little bit, but I want to avoid having to remove the sleeves to do so, so I'm going to take it in at the back seam. So I went and seam ripped this tag off, and then I went and pinned it in the back about 1.5 inches from the center back seam. I did a little try on before sewing it in place just to make sure it wouldn't be too snug. Then I went and sewed my back in until I was happy with the fit, and I cut the excess fabric. This seam needs to be pressed open and the lining needs to be taken in just as much. Once all that was done, I pinned the lining to the jacket along the neckline like so, and then I stitched it back together. That's all we're going to do for this top portion. And now I'm going to get on to cutting this skirt to be the lower half of this dress. I traced a line across the skirt about 8 inches from the top edge of the skirt and cut along that line. Then I went and traced a line 6 inches from the side edge and cut on that line, and that's when I realized I had no idea what I was doing. So I was originally going to make a wrap dress, but it just was not piecing together the way I'd hoped. So I had to take a step back and reevaluate and figure out a new plan. I think I know what I want to do with the skirt, and I think I'm going to be adding black trimming to the entire jacket, the bottom, the neckline, the sides here, and I'm going to go and add bias tape to the sleeve. I think the contrast of the black against the green is going to be super cute, so I'm using bias tape, pre-made bias tape from Joann's. My singer's back, so I'm going to test her out and see if she's really all fixed by using her to do all my top stitching. So let's go add this bias tape trimming to the entire jacket and see if it's cute. She's running like new, but I don't want to wear her down with these thick layers of bias tape. So I'm going to switch the threads and I'm going to do the trimmings on my Janome because this one's a bit more heavy duty, and I'll leave my singer for the rest of the sewing. So let's finish adding this trim. Adding the black bias tape trimming was a big upgrade in my opinion. So cute. I may go change these buttons later, but for now I'm just going to keep them on and then I'll decide once the skirt's finished. But yeah, let's put this jacket aside and let's get on to the skirt. So remember, I cut the top part of the skirt from the bottom portion of the skirt. I'm just seam ripping the edge binding, the bias binding here, from the skirt. And I also seam ripped the hook and loop from this piece and sat those aside to be put back on later. And now I'm going to have to separate the lining from the outer fabric by the side seams so I can take in the sides a little bit because this is a bit looser on my waist. Once I'd done that, I went and took in the sides of both the outer fabric and the lining fabric. And then I went and stitched the lining to the outer fabric with a basting stitch around the top edge and the bottom edge. And now I'm going to go and add the bias tape to the top and bottom edge. Okay, the bias tape is added and now I'm trying to figure out what I need to do next. I don't know. I'm going to take a lunch break and then I'll come back and figure it out. Okay, so after some thinking, I decided that the best way to finish this skirt would be to add a pleated bottom. So I took the bottom portion of the skirt and top stitched this back slit close. And then I folded the skirt in half long ways. Since the bottom edge is already hemmed, I measured 2 inches from the center so that the side with the raw edge could be hemmed as well. I'm going to use a basting stitch to attach the lining to this edge here. And then I'm going to hem the lining and the outer fabric edges on this piece and sew a basting stitch to attach the lining to the outer fabric along the top edge as well. I actually didn't even need to hem this bottom edge since I'm going to be adding bias tape to this edge anyway. I'm going to sew the short sides of these two pieces together to create one long loop. And then I'm going to use my tape measure to add even pleats so that the top edge of this piece is the same length as the bottom edge of that top skirt piece. I'm going to stitch these pleats in place and serge the raw edge like so. And then I'm going to pin this to the top portion of the skirt, just lining the serged edge behind the bias tape. Once everything is pinned, I stitched it in place with 2 rows of stitching along the top and bottom edge of the bias tape. I pressed my pleats and this is when I realized I'd hemmed the bottom for nothing since I wanted the bottom edge to be finished with the bias tape. After adding bias tape to the bottom edge, I went and sewed the hook and loop back onto the skirt. I also went and added some understitching to hold these pleats in place. And that completes the skirt. And as you may have noticed in the beginning of the video, I decided to switch out my buttons for these beautiful gold buttons. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up and don't forget to comment letting me know what you think of this transformation. Stay tuned for my next video. Bye!